Welcome to the FiveStack and the Weekend Roundup, because we're going to combine both of them today. We're doing double duty because the world's going to hell in a handbasket. We've got the number one Substacker in world politics on my right, just underneath me, depending on how you're looking at it. That is my friend, award-winning whistleblower, and just a fucking mensch, Mr. Lev Parnas, ladies and gentlemen. Say hi to Lev Parnas. There he is. He's doing his best work. Passionately watched him go live after Trump's insane presser, which we're going to get to in just a second. And of course, that is my Substack live partner, Zev Shalev. No one
Hello.
connects dots better than my boy, Zev Shalev. He does it from years past. So does Lev. We got dot connectors today. We got insane press conferences today. We got a federal takeover, Washington, D.C. We've got election reform to talk about today, which is not election reform. It's called election theft. We've got the Putin summit distraction. We've got it all happening. It all feeds into what happened today and what is going on now. Missed you guys too. Come on in. The water's fine. Come on in, because we're going to break some news. We're going to cover some news. We're going to talk about pure intention today, and we're going to talk about democracy and your place in it, because the dry run is over, Lev Parnas. The dry run is over. The dress rehearsal is done. Fascism in all its beautiful forms is coming to Washington, D.C. after ICE raids and all the bullshit that we saw in L.A. and around the country. They're going to take over Washington, D.C. We're going to get to Mayor Muriel Bowser, who's speaking right now. You're going to cover it. We're going to break some news today. What are you hearing, Lev? Well, where do you want to start today? Because you were on Substack immediately following this press conference, and you blew the doors off of election reform and distraction. Those are two of the main points that we want to talk about today, I imagine, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I'm in shock of we'll see what's going on, because one of the things you're seeing, obviously, the dry run's over. He has, physically came in and now is not only taking over Washington, D.C., but he's already laid out the groundwork and told you what's next: New York, Chicago. It's interesting he mentions those cities, because those are the cities right now that are involved strategically of, helping, not only helping, but also involved with possible redistricting to fight the part of Project 2025, the election reform, where he's trying to steal actual seats in Congress by redistricting, places like Texas, places like Florida, Indiana, and others that they're, working on. So that's part of it, because this is where the intimidation, where, and also you already have the FBI, you have Kash Patel that's, has already said that they're going to help out locate these people. And then you also have ICE now, which is, Trump's personal, Gestapo regime that's out there that basically, has no oversight whatsoever, that is also looking to get them. So the election, the part of what he's doing in DC, and this is the major question, which no reporter has asked him, or pushed him on it. Yes, he's given an answer, but pushed him on it. Why? Why now? Yeah. Okay, even if you're trying to say that the numbers are bad, but with everything that's going on in the world, with everything that's happening, with the Maxwell, Epstein, Russia, I mean, you got tariffs, you got, all of this. You, in the middle of everything, you just stop and you send in the National Guard into Washington, D.C., which we know, what he said is a lie. It's not true. Washington, D.C. is not the worst place to live. There's lots of other states where he could have done that if that was his intention and that was his goal. But as we know, that's not his intention. That's not his goal. And again, that's not to say we don't want a safe Washington, D.C., or a clean Washington, D.C., or a clean capital. Absolutely, we do. It's the way he's doing it and the reasons why he's doing it and what he's using it for that is, the dangerous part, not the fact that the things that he's saying, because that's the whole strategy. He says one thing, does another, and the people out there, majority of our country, doesn't sit here, and this is why I say we need to grow our community and make it bigger and bigger, because majority of the people see clips. They see clips of a news release, and that clip they'll see of a news release is that Trump cleaning up Washington, D.C. And most people would be say, hey, that's a good idea. I want Washington, D.C. Just like he did with immigration. Just like he said with immigration, he kept lying, just throwing these news clips out there. So most people didn't even understand until now, until they're starting to feel it. Instead, they're starting until they're, now it's become, just think about it, we're living in a country right now that with between 6 degrees of separation, somebody knows somebody that's either been arrested through this immigration or being persecuted or hiding or scared. The whole world, the country is turned themselves up because of what he's doing with immigration. And this is now what it's all been leading up to, which is I kept telling you, and we've been talking about. It's called election reform,
For
part of
weeks.
Project 2025, part of the Stephen Miller. This is what, because it's all leading up to eventually 2026, when and if he needs it, he can implement it on a dime, just because he said so, because now we're already used to it, because it's already been done in LA. And this is the other thing I want to mention as I'm going through, because there's a lot of pundits out there screaming and yelling every time he threatens to do something. They scream there and say, oh, that would be the red line. People are going to bear arms, and they're going to go in the streets. And I haven't seen that happen. And he's been keep moving the line, because he sent armed guards into LA. Nothing happened. Now he's sending him into Washington, D.C., and clearing out, people off the streets. He's already threatened, and he's going to do it. My sources are telling me it's not an if, but when he does it in New York and Chicago, because that's part of disrupting their whole system. Because prior to elections, he sees strategically which cities and states that he's targeting and going into. So that's extremely targeted. But the other thing that really, really flipped me out is when I got a phone call, and I got found out how this whole thing went down, this whole emergency meeting with Putin and Trump, and how it played out. And it was just amazing, like, to see that how they literally, Putin told Witkoff, as simple as that, and say, hey, this will move the news cycle. Let's get a meeting going. And not about negotiating to save Ukraine, stop. I mean, today they bombed Ukraine again. I just wrote about it. I mean, Ukraine's being bombed every day, so there's no peace talk. And if you listen to Trump's words today in the press conference, which was so scary, is because he's telling you exactly what's going to happen. The deal, either Zelensky's going to accept a deal where, I mean, absurd. I mean, because now they're talking about swapping land. Forget about already, like, now he's talking about for Ukraine to give up land that
Swapping, switching. He wasn't
that they
sure a
haven't
couple
even
days
that they
ago.
haven't right now. Now he's talking about giving up land that they haven't even fought, that they didn't even lose,
Yep.
but because strategically Russia might like that land, like Odessa maybe, or something like that. Like another thing he said today, this idiot, like I have no other words for him, but idiot say like that Russia took over prime time real estate, 1,000 miles of oceanfront real estate in Ukraine. The only part they haven't taken over is Odessa, and that's soon to fall. I mean, like, this guy's in the,
Yeah, and he was also talking about how expensive the real estate is that Russia had taken over, which always comes with every single genocidal dictator that takes over another sovereign country. It's like, hey, that's great real estate. Hey, that's great real estate. North Korea, that was great real estate. Gaza, that's great real estate. Like, he's fucked in the head.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, even when he spoke about Canada, remember the beautiful line? Like, if you take off that beautiful
great
line,
real
like,
estate.
that's just such a beautiful part of everything. And he says it, I mean, and the scariest part, I'll tell you, with all of that said, listen, the fact that he's using Ukraine, and this whole thing with Russia is going to be a way for him to walk away from again from Russia, by saying he tried, blame Zelensky, that whole thing. Okay, we're already educated. We've seen this. We understand it. But the scariest part I saw today in him, because I know him very well, and that's why I came on and did that Substack, and that's why I'm going to say, look at each and every one of you out there. We have almost like 700-800 people, and there'll probably be several thousand by the time we're done. For those of you that come on late, you can replay it. We're going to me, Zev, and Dean are going to publish it later, send it out, because this message is extremely, extremely important. The fact that I looked at him, and so, when we talk about, we joke around, or we talk about, and we not even say, he has mental decline. Is he gone crazy? Or is he, what is he doing? And we've thought about a lot of theories. What I saw today really scared me, and that's why I'm sending the alarm bells that we need to unite. We need to basically go 10 times more, that if whatever we were doing, go the extra mile, push it ever harder, because we're at that point right now. Because what I saw in Donald Trump today was full blown, what's the right word? Insanity, meaning not insanity like in a way where, some crazy nut, but if you take a look at history, every dictator from Napoleon to these kings,
megalomaniac,
when they get to a point, even mobsters, when you get to a certain point of such power, they, even wealthy people, they go to some different level of perversion, of, no, like, I could get away with anything. And it's not dementia, it's not like a sickness from that standpoint. It's where you're really, I don't know what the right word is. Maybe we'll have,
It's like a
uh
god complex almost. Like he's
well,
gone
it's just so,
crazy in
well,
his own bullshit.
if you take a look at every, I mean, Hitler, all of them. I mean,
Yeah.
they were all narcissistic. They were all psycho. I mean, they all had some. He's at that level now, because you could tell the way he's talking, the way he's saying things, the way he doesn't care, even his language, the bullshit I mean, he's like, he's completely like at a point where I'm going to get, we're going to have it here better than any of these dictatorships out there.
He's got that look in his eye, doesn't he? It's like that glint that makes him look a little bit crazy, a little bit possessed, and that he knows what he's going to do next. Everything he's saying strikes such a chord, because I think he's looking at his numbers, basically. He's looking at his favorability ratings, and he realizes they're at a very weak point. And so what he's doing with DC, he's appealing to that middle class, sentiment of feeling unsafe, that feeling of being under threat. He knows that the moms and dads out there feel that, and he knows that he can strike them with that. So by doing that, by saying that, DC is this overrun, criminal, homeless cesspool or whatever, he's able to talk to people in a way that he has not been able to reach in any other way except the immigration issue, as you pointed out. And those two issues are very, very, very similar. People don't like the homelessness they see in the streets. They don't like the criminal gangs they see in the streets, and they do exist in every major city. And everyone almost unanimously would agree that they want to get rid of them if they could. And so he's positioning the Democrats as being pro gangs in the streets, pro homelessness, and the Republicans as being pro safety and security again. It's a very smart strategic move for him, and it's one that's going to pay off quite well, because I think whether you like it or not, DC is not as safe as it should be. The homelessness problem is a nightmare in every major city in America. And the mistake Democrats may make here is defending homelessness. What they need to do is say, yeah, homelessness is a real problem, but who's the cause of that? It's the real estate developers that have priced everyone out of the market. It's the algorithms that have priced everyone out of the market. It's not the homeless people that are at fault. And we need to stop blaming the people on the streets for what has been caused by people like Donald Trump. And so that distinction is really important. But the truth of it is, this is going to work for him. He's going to take away the attention of Epstein for a little bit, it seems. And we'll be talking about, and this will be the thing that we're talking about. And then the same thing with this Friday meeting. Firstly, Putin is so smart strategically in terms of the news cycle. To come to America, to do this in Alaska, is such a slight in the face of everybody. I mean, it's just, here's the man who attacked American democracy in 2016, and now he's coming on American soil. And I bet you the first thing he's going to say is, well, we own this land, we own this state. We should never have given it up, and we want it back. When he talks about Alaska, opening up yet another territorial front that, we now, the West, have to defend against Russia's aggression. And so, it's incredibly disconcerting that the president of the United States would allow Vladimir Putin onto American soil. I mean, it's just unbelievable, knowing what we know about the attack on American democracy, about the constant corruption of our system by the Russians, by the attack on our capitalist system by the Russians, by Jeffrey Epstein, by Robert Maxwell, you name it. The fact that that he is coming to America, a war criminal, is coming to America. Is stunning to me, and the fact that Zelensky is not coming at all is also remarkable.
Well, that's by design too, and I want to kind of get to a couple of things just to set the table here with Lev and Zeb. Welcome to the show, everybody. Really appreciate it. Don't forget, subscribe to thesegentlemannarrative.org. Lev Parnas. This is how we get together. Share this. Hit that little button and share this with people. We're going to kind of unwrap a couple of things. We'll get to the distraction on election reform. But he called it Liberation Day today. Just some short strokes, invoking Section 740 of the 1973 D.C. Home Rule Act to place the Metropolitan Police Department under federal control, officially calling it Liberation Day. He's deploying 800 National Guard troops. If you watched some videos today, you saw some of those National Guard troops literally standing there with their shoulders down going, what the fuck are we even doing here? And then he branded DC as one of the most dangerous cities anywhere in the world. That is entirely untrue. It is a dangerous city in some parts. in America, the crime rate is high, but it is at a 3-year low, down 30% since 2020 fucking three, because Muriel Bowser is doing an incredible job, as is DC City Council. He branded it as not only dangerous, but graffiti laden. He went after the graffiti today, gentlemen. He's like, there's just too much graffiti, and the medians in the road are no good, and there's crime, and everybody's getting raped by migrants. But then it went off the rails, Lev. Like, I watched Ash Patel, who, by the way, is probably an Ewok. I watched Ash Patel stand there screaming into the camera, and then Pete Hegseth screaming into the camera, and then Janine Pirro. And they all kind of said the same thing. These are three highly unqualified assholes, and Pam Bondi, too. Not only lie about the state of crime in the city of Washington, D.C., but also tell everybody you're next. We're coming for you. If you're homeless, basically, fuck you. And we're tired of your bullshit. And then she said, not only are they going to take over DC, Pam Bondi's now in charge of Metro Police in DC. She then went into a diatribe, which is unbelievable. If you think about it, she's an ambulance chasing lawyer who's in charge of DC Metro Police now. But then she went into a diatribe, as all three or four of them did, about how if this none of this would be possible without Donald Trump. Looking at that as a distraction, I find it hard to believe that those 4 or 5 dimwits could have come up with this plan to change the script in the face of the Epstein thing and start the whole process of instituting a perceptual problem in certain blue states and cities. Because this is two birds with one stone. This is election reform and distraction, is it not?
Well, 100%. This is part of right now the full push, and I mean, and
Well, you can't
some,
tell me these idiots came up with it.
well, no, this is you got people like Stephen Miller, Russell Vaught. There's people behind Susie Wiles. There's really so you got some people out there that are this is like a video game where there's actual people that are controlling the remote controls, and then you got people out there like the Gene Piros and the Hex that will be screaming out there, but they're not really making any decisions or doing anything. They're just part of the video game that somebody's controlling. But see, this is part of again what did they do with immigration? They made it, if you listen to immigration, yes, did we have an immigration problem? Absolutely. But we didn't have 20 million people and all of them criminals and all of them asylums. He used that and they used that, pushed that to what did they do with that? They took away some of our constitutional rights by going out right now. And we have all of these concentration like camps as Alligator Alcatraz. We have people being grabbed off the street. Why? Because they put the fear in the God of the United States people that we have a major immigration problem, multiplying it by like 20. They're doing the same thing right now in Washington, D.C. Yes, Zev is right. Each city has their own problems, some worse than others. But like you said, Dean, the Washington, D.C. right now is at a 30% low compared to, and this is why you say why Washington and why now and why make these, what's it called, major pushes towards what you want to do, because it's all part of show his authoritarian power should be. And you're right, it's part of distracting, because A, he's distracting. B, right now he's actually going in there, and right now this is a test run to what degree they're going to be able to push it. Because listen to some of the things they're saying, and let's understand, let's break it down for a second. When they turn around and say they are currently right now getting rid of the homeless people in the parks and in the streets. So let's stop for a second. And if you look at that as just if you were running around all day and you saw this somewhere run across the screen, you say, "Hey, great idea! Clean up the street, homeless people." But what is their plan? Where are they taking these homeless people?
Mm-hmm.
Where are they bringing these homeless? They're not telling you that they're pushing them out to a different area or somewhere else, because they're not, unless they're disintegrating them. I mean, getting rid of them, throwing them concentration. What are they doing with the homeless people that they're getting rid of? Because nobody's come up with an idea. Because if you have an idea of how to clean up this park with homeless people and make sure that they're okay, great. We're all for it. What's the plan? Where's the plan? Why isn't somebody up there saying, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what we're going to do with homeless people in the area, and this is how we're going to get it? Part one. So they're not telling you what's happening. That's going to be another story. I'm worried they don't start throwing them in concentration camps because they're homeless. They're the worst of the worst. Now you got step two. You got the crime. What I heard today scared me more than anything because you had Judge Janine there, that little twerp of her that I know very well, standing there pounding her chest, talking about. I mean, just think about what she was saying. She wasn't talking about so much as crime and the level. She was more upset and concerned because, like I tell you, folks, follow the ball. She was more concerned about that she doesn't have authority over 13, 14, and 15-year-old kids that commit crime. That's what she's upset about. She's upset about that, a 13-year-old kid there that shoots somebody. And again, I'm not justifying 13-year-old kids going shoot. Absolutely bad. But heavens been, have a 13-year-old get into her hands in the courtroom because that's it. It's like, let's execute our 13-year-olds because the next thing they're going to do the death penalty. I mean, so this is the society we're pushing, and this is what they're pushing to. And if they can get away with this experiment or test run right now, because this is all being set up, guys, for the big one, 2026 elections.
Mhm.
Because the second he feels or the second he gets word that they're losing or this is going to be a bloodbath, which we all anticipate and hope and see, and it's coming, that is when all of a sudden there is an attack that's coming from some terrorist organization, some internal, whatever that is. Here comes martial law. We stop the elections. Here we put all of this in place, and here we go, folks. And that's my biggest fear. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we never see that.
No, I think you're right, Lev. I think you're really right.
I wish
Yeah.
I'm wrong. I hope we have like some kind of somebody that stands up and somehow we get to a point because this is why we're here, Zev. This is why we're here, Dean, because we're sounding the alarm bells for everybody, so we could keep the voice, keep somehow try to save the money. Because if he gets away with it in 2026, I hate to say it, but it's over with, folks.
Because who does the protest cleaning up if there's a big protest? If there's a big protest the size that we could anticipate, if his ratings go very low, it'll be the DC police that is in charge of controlling those protests. And he said it today in the press conference. He said it himself that he sees the police restrained because they aren't allowed to do anything. He says to quell any riots or any of the protesters. He says, well, he'll let them do whatever the hell they want. I think was his exact quote. Whatever the hell the police want to do to quell any protest.
Whatever the hell they want.
So this is the intention of this president, is to make sure that any protests against him, any uprising against him, any national civic response to him is going to be crushed by the police. And he now has control over that police force that is going to be doing the policing of that event. So, and if he's going to do that in other states, look at the cities he's chosen: New York, LA, Chicago,
Baltimore.
Portland and Oakland. Portland and Oakland are some of the biggest protest cities in the world, in America. So he's absolutely positioning himself, knowing that the numbers are sliding, that his favorability ratings are sliding, that people are going to get more upset with the reality of all these cuts that he's taken to all these budgets, and the reality of life under Trump really cements itself. Then people are going to start getting upset, but they're going to be met by this police force that is controlled by Pam Bondi.
But he's trying to trigger that, though, right, boys? Like that's what this is. This is an attempt to try to trigger some kind of response, to goad people into some kind of physical response, or is it just he wants to have the perception of him federalizing a city and taking it over and cleaning it up?
He's using crime and homelessness as the reason, which people will accept as a good reason to do things, but he's using that as a reason to get a police force that can crush dissent.
And not only that, because you got to understand, there's a reason why he said Chicago and New York. Besides that, they're big Democrat right now. See, and there's a reason why he did it now. As I told you guys, they have an issue. They're with this redistricting that they're trying to do. That all of a sudden, they're getting pushback from the Democratic governors and also all of this stuff. So they came out.
All the states that are next, by the way.
Right. Well, but here's the interesting part. Here's where it gets interesting. This is where it gets interesting because he now got the feds involved.
Yeah.
For the feds to actually do something, because there's no actual federal crime that has been committed, they have to find a judge right now that's going to give them some fake indictment of some bribery, conspiracy to whatever the case is, which is it's just to be able to get the feds involved. You also have another problem there because right now, like for instance, in Chicago, Pritzker came out and said that I have the state police get orders to protect these people. So come and get them. And right now, the state police, are not going to listen to the feds unless the feds have an actual arrest warrant signed by the federal judge. So they don't have it. But now look what he did today. What he did today is basically he federalized local state police, taking away power from the governor. So now, if he also does that in Chicago, now the
Good point.
federal police, and now he says, well, these, reps, Democratic reps from the state have an arrest warrant. Go pick them up and bring them to Texas to hold a quorum. There you go, folks.
It was also
Did
really
that.
interesting. Sorry, don't interrupt. That like the Adam Schiff prosecutions and these other prosecutions. I mean, where does Adam Schiff work and live? He works in D.C. So if they want anyone to pick up any of these Democratic lawmakers or do any actions against these Democratic lawmakers, they can do that if the police force is directly responsible to Pam Bondi.
Let's also talk about where those Texas Democrats are who have fled the state of Texas to prevent the redistricting. They're in all the states that he threatened today. That's where they're all hiding out.
Right.
So when you think about the redistricting and election reform, the heavy-handedness of Trump's DOJ and the Trump regime DOJ, this is a legal justification to go and round up and arrest and charge or invent charges for every single political opponent that is preventing him from cheating and redistricting in certain red states like Texas because he knows he's going to fucking lose. Like he knows he's going to
Oh,
lose if this is a free and fair election, right?
No, they all know. Nobody's. I mean, that's why, you see some of the panicking going on only in certain Congress seats because the people there are on the outskirts. Everybody in the inner circle, like Bondi, you don't see anybody worrying about numbers. Nobody cares. It's like life is beautiful. We're moving on because in their world they have a plan. This plan has been put into motion a while ago. This plan has been written out. It's called Project 2025. That same plan that Donald Trump came out there during campaign and said he knows nothing about, he has nothing with. When you saw Russell Vaught on tape being caught behind the scenes saying that Donald Trump is going to go there and pretend that he knows nothing about it. But that's the plan. That's the Federalist Society. That's the group of people that were part of, that wrote that plan, that were part of his first administration around him. I mean, this is what they're. It's like this is their game plan. This is like if you were a football team or a baseball team, you have a plan, and part of that plan is to stay in his power as long as you can, if not indefinite, to be able to fulfill all of those things. And because you have to destroy the Constitution and rewrite it in the way you want it, and you can't do it in 3 years. You can't do it overnight unless you have like a uprising, and you just have the military take over, through martial law. They're not trying to do it tomorrow. They're trying to do it strategically. Martial law is the emergency backup if certain things don't go like they planned. They buy time with that. Just like today, he's buying time with a lot of this stuff by, announcing this meeting with Vladimir Putin. You know what I'm saying to you? Because that's all it is. It's to distract you. Because just think, as soon as he mentioned that, you have heard nothing about the Epstein files. You heard nothing about the Maxwell. And the crazy part, that's why I went live, and that's why I was so pissed off, is we broke the story literally 3 days ago. If you take a snapshot of 3 days ago, we were talking about the meeting that they're having with JD Vance, that they're formulating the story, how
Oh, the
Maxwell's going
secret
to come
planning
out,
meeting.
the secret
Yeah.
planning. But the other thing that nobody's talking about that we also broke is Dan Bongino. That's what really got to Trump. That's what really got all of this moving, because what they're scared more than anything, because there's also, I'm hearing reporting that Dan Bongino is really considering of going back and start working on his podcast instead of being in the FBI. So what I'm
That'll be
saying?
something. I don't want to hear what he knows. He knows a lot of stuff. He's seen the files, actually. So
No, yeah, no, he's and that's what part of this meeting was. That's why in the meeting in the White House, it was only between Kash Patel and between Pam Bondi, because Kash Patel was representing Bongino to get them on the same page. You understand? Trump hasn't, him and Bongino haven't spoken since Bongino was going to leave.
Mhm.
But going to leave, and then Trump got him to stay. And ever since, have you seen Bongino on any social media or anything make a statement, anything to do with the Epstein Maxwell file? Think about it.
No,
Very,
he
very
was
quiet.
everywhere. He was everywhere before this, right?
Everywhere, not
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
and not one, because he's right now in a position, as my sources say, and that's why Trump is having a problem, because they, Blanche Maxwell, they have a narrative already. They're ready to go. Congressman Jamie Comer is ready to question her, get it, and paint the narrative where Trump is going to be whitewashed, and all of a sudden you're going to hear a bunch of other people, Democrats, some Republicans, that are going to get thrown into this whole thing where the media is going to go apeshit because they're going to throw on a big name like Clinton or somebody else, which they'll just, you know what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the game plan. We understand that, but they can't put that in motion, because if all of a sudden they do that and Bongino leaves the FBI, goes on his podcast and says, bullshit, there was what about Trump this or this one that or this one that, they're fucked.
Yeah.
So that's why this was like the meeting. That's why it was supposed to be held in his house. That's why it was strategically who was going to be there. You had Kash Patel that was representing Bongino. You had Todd Blanche that was going over the game plan of what they've worked out with Maxwell and how this is going to roll. You had Pam Bondi, who is in charge of all this shit, taking the heat for Donald Trump and the face of all of this going on, trying to make peace with Bongino. Because remember, in a cult, which this still is a cult, you never blame the leader. You always find an excuse to blame somebody, but you don't blame the leader, because if you blame the leader, then you can't be in the cult. Then you have to admit and say, you know what I'm saying to you, I'm out of here. So they can't. That's why none of them are blaming Donald Trump. They're blaming Pam Bondi for this whole Epstein fiasco. Even though Trump is the one saying everything, even till this day, it's easy for them to say, "Oh yeah, no, it's Pam Bondi," and that's why that's why Bongino is not going out trying to catch a fight with Trump, because he understands very well it could end very bad with the power Trump has right now. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying to you? That's why you
Yeah.
had that's why you had Susie Wiles there, because Susie Wiles was representing Donald Trump's interests. It's like a business corporation, folks. I can't explain to you of what they're trying to put together right
That was
now.
amazing reporting you did actually on Bongino and that meeting. It was really insightful because, in fact, you could see it play out over the weekend when we heard that Ghislaine had said that she saw no wrongdoing by Donald Trump, which is such interesting terminology. So she saw no wrongdoing, because she knew a lot of wrongdoing if she didn't see any, although I'm sure she did see it as well. Under investigation, under the light of investigation, I'm sure we can find out a lot of stuff that she had seen Donald Trump do, both in the realm of the assault of children and young women, but also in the realm of the financial crimes, which is something that I've been focusing on narrative, which is such a deep rooted part of this whole operation, was to corrupt American capitalism, to detonate American capitalism from within and bring it down. This was a KGB strategy. And, they deployed it at around the time that Donald Trump was in Moscow the first time in 1987. It certainly ties into everything that Epstein and Maxwell, the older Maxwell, Rod Maxwell did. There is a lot there that is so interesting and fascinating that is not coming to light. And the more we do this series on narrative.org called The Greatest Heist, I hope people start to realize that this is a multi-decade operation that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were key principals in. These guys were the key guys that the KGB entrusted to bring down American capitalism by giving them all this money, by funding them with all these monies. The reason Donald Trump is being able to successfully recover from bankruptcies time and time again is because of Russian money that has been flowing into his bank accounts and has allowed him to be propped up again and again and again. Same thing with Jeffrey Epstein. And people will see in the next few episodes as we unwrap them how Maxwell himself, the fortune that he died, which could be as much as $3 billion. No one knows where that money really went. It disappeared. And many people suspect it's what funded Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's operation in the United States.
So, I want to lean on that just for a second, because what we're doing is unwrapping a really stinky geopolitical espionage onion is what we're doing right now.
Good.
And Lev deeply involved, obviously, with the Trump regime back before they became the Trump regime, when he was pretending to be in the Trump admin. You obviously know people on the inside too, Lev, to back up what Zev's saying in terms of the decades-long operation. Here in the United States and North America, the effort to disrupt, the effort to discredit, the effort to sow chaos. It's the same with every dictatorial government, whether it's China, North Korea, in a cyber capacity, or Russia in a physical capacity or a financial capacity. But I want to lean into that because it really speaks to your narrative series and the incredible reporting Lev has done. It really speaks to what I saw today with Trump in this insane, crazy, unhinged, pro Putin responses to some questions he would ask, because he really quickly pivoted to, after he undressed DC, after he said we're going to federalize the entire fucking city and all you disgusting people are going to get up, and the police are going to be allowed to do whatever the hell they want to do to you, so get moving. He pivoted to a question about the summit with Putin and Trump in Alaska. He also said several times, I don't know if you caught this, Lev. I did. Zev, you might have caught it. He also said that Putin invited him to Russia.
He did.
And
And
and then
that's why this is perfect. I'm glad you caught that. That's
yeah.
key, because that's what my reporting was this morning. The breaking news is that this was all Putin's idea to have this meeting. He told Witkoff, tell Trump that basically we could have a meeting and this will turn away the Epstein, turn away everything. It will put that's why they did it. And
Mm,
that's why Trump misspoke saying that, because this wasn't, this was a setup by, again, Vladimir Putin, because what is Vladimir Putin right now gave Trump the win. Trump now, Epstein, nobody's talking about Epstein. Everybody's talking about Ukraine and Russia, which again, they should be. This is a big thing, but they're not talking about, they're asking the right questions and they're not piercing through the bullshit. They're allowing them to play the game. Well, we'll see. Oh, what are you going to ask Vladimir Putin? What do you mean? What do you got? Why don't you ask him? Didn't Vladimir Putin already propose a deal to you? Didn't Witkoff come with a deal to you? What do you mean? You should know already what you go. You don't know what you're. When are you going to speak to these people? It's like the answers he gives, like, oh, I'm going to speak to Zelensky to the year, and then I'm gonna put it all over here, and then I'm going to come up. And are you? Do you understand who Vladimir Putin is? Who the Russian KGB? Who this mob? What kind of a machine this is? I mean, if you think the mob is something powerful or big, or you think, I mean, you're talking about, this is CIA level shit. This is
Yeah.
equivalent to how our CIA. This is their CIA. This is the KGB. This is, like Zev said, this is not done overnight. I mean, they've been working Donald Trump and all these people for ages, and not only him, Stephen Witkoff. I told
Witkoff's
you,
another
you
one.
think Stephen Witkoff walks in there and goes straight to Putin, has a meeting? No, before Stephen Witkoff's meet Putin, he gets wined, he gets dined, he meets all these different business people that propose these deals. Where Stephen Witkoff turns around and says, I can't be involved, but my son Zach, or you could give him a call. And I've been there. I've done the same with the Ukrainian stuff. This is how the Eastern European, I'm saying to you, when he already goes into meet with Putin, everything's already done, convinced. Everything is already, it's more nicer, pleasantries. That's why you don't even see him bringing even a translator in there, because there's nothing to talk about. They've already discussed everything. It's all for pictures, pleasantries, so then the propaganda machine could start. That's why they're even reporting that he doesn't even understand, that Witkoff didn't understand what Putin said to him, this plan, that plan. It don't matter what plan. They don't care. Witkoff don't care what plan it is.
oops.
It's true. It's true. It's like it's been land stopping, whatever. You do whatever
Let
you
me
want
tell
to
you
do.
something interesting
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I wanted all of you to pick up on, where because watching what Trump said, he said something very interesting that a lot of people didn't pick up on, that showed me the conversations that him, Witkoff, and Putin, how this whole thing, how Trump is even thinking, because I know all of them very well. He gave you guys a story about how that Putin could have taken Ukraine in 4 days. The reason why he didn't do it in 4 days is because the general that was running the invasion, instead of taking the highway or the streets, whatever, I don't know what the fuck he said, but he said something, instead of doing that they decided to go through the village, which was
Yeah.
Bucha, which was
Right.
Bucha village that they massacred. That, if you listen to me and Alex or Alexander, we're talking about something, it was the biggest genocide. I think, you could, the way they did. But anyway, So because the general decided to go through Bucha instead of go through what's it called, the tanks got stuck in the
Mud.
Yeah.
mud because it rained before. So, but it wasn't even that. Not the fact that he knew that story, and the story was from the Russian point of view of why to make it look good. So you understand that this was a story he didn't get it from Putin. He got it from Witkoff. This is the shit that is being read. So this is the time when Witkoff is sitting with Trump. He's like, listen, Putin could take them at any moment. The only reason this is what happened.
These tanks got stuck.
Excuse me. Then he makes another interesting smirk. With that, he has a smirk on his face, and this is why I say I'm worried and scared that he's already gone to the dictator mode where there's definitely no coming back. But we need to stop this quickly. Is the second right after that he said, knowing Vladimir very well, that general is no longer around, like this.
Did you see Pete Hegson's smart smirk too? Did you see him smile? Like
That's what I'm saying to you. Like they're like, yep, that guy's gone. He messed up. Because of him, they messed up. And then he went on to say some other things because Trump says, I want to break it to you guys. But he kept mentioning the javelins. So let me tell you a little story about those javelins. Donald Trump in his first administration, he memorizes certain scripts that keep saying him, and this is one of them. He memorized that Obama gave him sheets, and I gave him javelins. Well, me and Donald Trump, if you guys have time, go to a recording that's out there on the internet. You can Google it, Lev Parnas, Donald Trump dinner recording. It's like an hour and a half, but there's a part of there where we talk about javelins, Ukraine, and stuff like that. And it's interesting because Donald Trump at that dinner, we talk about because that was a time when they just started sending javelins, where he approved the javelins to Ukraine. So it showed that he didn't even know that it was approved. He didn't do it. Somebody in his administration did. That's how things worked in the first administration. Because at that dinner, you'll see the conversation go where I say something like, "Thanks for Ukrainian people are happy that you're saying." He goes, "Javelins? What javelins?" And then you got Don Jr. And then you got Don Jr. jumping into the conversation. "Hey, Dad, you authorized the javelins." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I gave him javelins." And then Don Jr. says that phrase, Obama gave him, and he fucking remembered it. And this isn't going back to this is May of 2018, guys.
Yeah,
Just going back to May of 2018. 7 years later, he still just said the same thing. Like, I gave them javelins, the tank busters. And so you could tell that his talking points. And then the other thing he said today, this was another thing, Zev and Dean, that is extremely, because I know you and Olga have this show. I think this is something important I want to point out to you guys also when you talk to your subscribers. Very important. Is he already gave you the outline of what's going to happen at this meeting. He said something very important. He said Zelensky has to be prepared to swap. And again, we're not even talking about giving up the land that they're fighting for, they lost. Well, he's talking about swapping land, actually, that they didn't even fight for, or that they're not winning. Like, for instance, Odessa. Let's take Odessa, for instance. Let's say strategically it benefits, obviously, Russia to take over Odessa.
Of course.
Because they'll say, okay, well, we'll take Odessa and we'll give you
the entire Black Sea front. Why not?
Right. You know what I'm saying too.
Yeah.
So he knows already that Zelensky responded, and they understand just through all these conversations that there's no way Zelensky, but he embarrasses him by saying like, oh, Zelensky has to go get it from his, constitution. Well, it's 88% poll that people want to starts throwing bullshit Russian propaganda polls about how just all that conversation was all Russian propaganda talking points that Steve Witkoff probably loaded him up right before, like, getting ready for his meeting. And I could even see it happen because I used to be that Steve Witkoff. I used to be that one talking to him the same way with him and Rudy and all of that. What's it called? And then having him, and the scary part is he said it. He goes, and if Zelensky doesn't come around to it, then I might have to just walk away.
Yeah.
So he said,
good luck, you said. Good luck to you guys. Best of luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the best part. He didn't say I'm gonna wish Zelensky. He said I'm gonna wish Putin. But if I can't cut a deal with them, then I'm gonna leave and wish him the best of luck. Continue the war. to Putin. He's gonna wish him the best, just like he did to Maxwell. He wished her best of luck also.
I mean, this idea that
brazen shit. It was brazen shit, and you can read between the lines. Sorry, Zev, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'll let you go here in a second. To Lev's point, it was a brazen attempt to whitewash, legitimize Russia, and you couple that with a couple of comments. One specifically from Matt Whitaker this week, who's like, "Hey, Russia's earned the land that they've stolen." Like Russia's earned it. So like
Trump says it also. Trump says it also. Trump says it. He says they fought hard for it. Many people died. And he also keeps saying that they could take it all. That basically he keeps trying to threaten either Ukraine or us or somehow part of the fear mongering that he does with the immigration here in the United States. Now he's doing with the homeless and in Washington D.C. and the crime. Same thing here. He's basically trying to threaten and say, "Hey, Russia is going to take it all, and I'm going to allow him to take it all if we don't cut this deal."
Yeah, which is not true, of course. So the Ukrainians are doing a great job of fighting back. This idea that they could, wander in there and be freelance, basically make up a peace deal on the fly is what he thinks he can do with Vladimir Putin, which of course is not how these things work. Most times, as Lev points out, these things are worked out well in advance. People come together and the very end for the photo op. The idea that he thinks he can walk in and read Putin's posture within 2 minutes and determine whether there's a deal in the making is just bullshit. Putin is going to play him like a fiddle. And the United States is going to be embarrassed by absolutely everything that happens this Friday, because that is exactly why Vladimir Putin is coming to America, is to embarrass Donald Trump.
And he played him into this. Like, you talk about everything being done. This is done. Like, he's played him into legitimizing him by bringing him onto fucking U.S. soil. This is a fucking terrorist war criminal. And sandwashing it by bringing him here. And to your point, Lev, and to your point, Zev, I don't expect a peace deal out of this, because not only is Zelensky not there, he hasn't been invited. And he's like, and there was this story that came out. I don't know if you guys saw this week. Story came out. It's like, the White House is considering inviting Zelensky. That was bullshit.
No, that was fake, and that's why another thing I'm glad you mentioned it to all our subscribers out there. Unless you see me, Zev, or Olga, or someone or us going out there saying 911, this is breaking news, don't follow what the media is saying, because that was a specially leaked thing that supposedly Zelensky was going to be there, because Zelensky was out. Trump even came out today and said, "Oh no, if he had 3.5 years, if he couldn't have fixed it, why would you want Zelensky being there?" He wasn't. This was strategic. They're planning to be able to take the news cycle and change it. Keep your eye on the ball, folks. I'm going to tell you that.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Zev. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I just to reiterate too. I mean, the summit is bullshit. We know it is, because there's the other than Russia, the main combatants aren't there. Zelensky's not there. The other half of this invasion and genocide of the Ukrainian people is not there to be able to say, yes, I will agree to this peace deal. Number one, but number two, and you said this today, and I want to follow up on it with you, Lev. You said this today. Expect lots of news and fireworks, but expect no peace deal. Because this isn't about a peace deal. Russia and Trump they know, like Putin and Trump know, they're not showing up to Russia to do a peace deal. This is an op where they're going to continually change the news cycle, continually scare the shit out of people, and give others the world the impression that Zelensky is not interested. That's why he's not here.
Can I answer that question before you jump in, Lev? Because I just want to point out two things. On Friday, we were meant to have sanctions imposed on Russia for their, for whatever it is they've been doing in Ukraine, right? There were meant to be sanctions against them, sanctions against India. Where are those sanctions? Why have they suddenly been dropped? What happened between Friday and today that has allowed them to now push these sanctions back and now have these cordial talks on Friday in America, in Alaska, on American soil? That's one thing. The other thing that happened this weekend, of course, is that Maxwell was out there saying Trump did no wrong, exonerating the president from doing any wrongdoing. Now, last time I checked, she also worked for the, the Israeli military intelligence and for the KGB, like her father did, and like Jeffrey Epstein did. So wait a second, is this just another op? Where you're saying we'll take sanctions off. You'll say that Trump did no wrong, and we're off to the races, and we get to decide what happens in Ukraine.
Well, it gets even more interesting that I'll even add to it. How about the fact that literally, why did Witkoff go to him? See, we were even forgot why was Witkoff summoned. I wrote about it. I broke it. He was
Mhm,
summoned there because remember, Trump all of a sudden went at it with Medvedev and sent nuclear subs to Russia. We don't even talk about that. What happened
Right.
to the
Remember that?
nuclear
Yeah.
subs that Trump sent over to Russia? Remember that? Very
mhm,
strong.
Yeah. 2 weeks
Immediate
ago. Last
note.
week. Yeah.
We got nuclear subs. So the next day afterwards, he imposed 25% on India, as we spoke about, because it was all about all of that whole 10 days was nothing to do with Russia. It was because he was negotiating with India, because the secondary tariffs had to do with China and India, the two countries that he's having issues with the tariff negotiations. When he did punish them, Woodcock was there, and it was not to punish Russia, but he punished out India 25%. Today, he even forgot what it was. He called it 50%. But like you said, there's no tariffs going anywhere. Meanwhile, Russia's supposed to get tariffs. They're not getting no tariffs, no sanctions. But here's the interesting part, and this is what another thing I want to mention is that because when you guys do your reporting, do a little look into it. Trump mentioned today Nord Stream 2. He's
mhm.
started mentioning Nord Stream 2 several times. Everybody, all the pundits are there talking about, no, never going to happen. Nord Stream 2 is dead. I keep talking about it, and me and Alexander keep saying that our sources are saying that the conversation that Witkoff and Trump and Dmitriev and Putin are pushing Nord Stream 2, pushing it through where, the U.S. will be part of controlling the energy market going in these terms, which would not happen, but this is part of the conversations that are happening. And today, when I saw Trump push Nord Stream 2, by the way he said it, his wording is, I'm the one that got rid of it. I'm the one that got destroyed. But then Biden put it back into motion. Combine that with his push to get Russia back into the G8. Combine that with his push with all the conversations of constantly to lift sanctions and to start doing more business with Russia. Combine that with, this constant talk of minerals, oil, and Russia's rich and has all this stuff to give, what's it called? What I'm worried about is that, and I'm still waiting to hear back from some of my sources on where this is headed. But the the summit is definitely there's no deal out of it coming out that Ukraine could possibly take. I mean that's factual. There's nothing that because Russia's come out prior to even going there said that we're not we want to take over all of Ukraine. I mean it's just a crazy that most people don't even know all the behind the scenes, so they hear this the summit happening. What I'm worried about is that Trump walks away, and this is the plan, basically allows it, starts legitimizing Russia, lifting sanctions, allowing them to continue the war with Ukraine, stop, screw up NATO with, delivery of weapons to, so this way Ukraine is constantly, just like he's doing, doesn't have it, and start slowly but surely or quickly, because in Trump's world, I mean, there is no slowly. I mean, overnight, he could lift all the sanctions and start doing business with them and, having trade. I don't even know what trade we'd have with Russia, but start doing, international trade.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a warm up. It's like a warm up show, right? For the ultimate goal, which is to turn his, decades long partnership with Putin and his newfound friendship and love of dictators into what he really wants, which is complete control. It was one of the things that I laughed about every time he talked about the guy in North Korea, Kim Jong Un. He's like, yeah, it's amazing. They just stand there. They can't, like, that's what I want. I want that. I want those people to worship me. I want complete control. This guy's got control over everything in his country. Right. And now what he's doing is he's actually doing an effective job of it. Because to your point, Lev, nobody reads anything below the headlines. They look at the headline and they go, who doesn't want peace with Russia? Wouldn't that be great? Who doesn't want the end of this war? Wouldn't that be great? But in no uncertain terms are they arriving at Russia for this fucking summit for a peace plan. This is about energy. This is about collusion. This is about a geopolitical shift. This is about authoritarianism. This is an update with Trump's mentor, is what it is, where they're going to sit down and they're going to strategize and they're going to come up with the narrative and they're going to walk out and they've been doing it for 6 months, guys. They've been
No,
trying to
no.
warm Americans up to it.
I'll give you a better one. I've been to these meetings. this it's not going down like this. I'll tell you exactly how it's going down. I wish if there's a flaw, the reporting comes out, you heard it here first. All of that's been negotiated between Kirill Dmitriev, Witkoff, and others. What's going to happen at this meeting is going to be so much ass kissing from Putin to Trump, and so much flattery, and so much talking about how the media is going after him, and talk about how this whole Epstein thing is bullshit, and he'll probably even maybe bring him some kind of information that the KGB might have to benefit and help him with some of the shit that he's fighting with, like to get his own stuff like that. That's what this meeting is going to be about. Flatly, about talking about how Russia and America could prevail, could be a great trading partners. How they could, Russia has minerals, oil, especially with all the territory. Just think about all the stuff that where's the mineral deal that America signed? Because all that minerals that Ukraine and America, that deal they
Russia
have
has
is
it,
right
yeah.
now what Russia is. Trump wants to give Russia. Just think about that one. We're not even remember how big of a deal that was. Just remember how big of a everybody, Ukraine has to take the mineral deal now. Oh, that's it. Now that's it. No, Russia's not going to attack because now we're partners.
I also predict they're going to be talking about Alaska as being part of Russia again. I just think that's going to be a big talking point this week. I think that's the reason they're doing it. I don't think he's going to give it up, but he'll start talking about it. I mean, the truth of it, the Russians have said they wanted it back for decades.
What would he get back? What would Trump get back?
Who knows? He'd probably make a bad deal and give it up for nothing. But he's going to.
Maybe the only copy of the P tape. He might get that back.
He might get the real Epstein files. He might get
that.
It's wild doing these with you guys, because when we sit back and we dissect, read through the language with someone like you, Lev, who's been in those rooms, who knows these people, who knows their intentions, and you, Zev, someone who spent the better part of a decade uncovering, connecting dots, pulling back the veil. It's so easy for me to believe all of this. And I put out a thing about the things I believe about Trump on social media the other day that went,
really good one,
like mega viral. And then I'm like, people are like, thanks guys, the conspiracy theorist, you're conspiracy. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go hunt for receipts and evidence, right? And as I'm putting this together, remind me of our conversation, which was why I was really excited about today, because mainstream media is not giving you any of this information for a very specific reason, whether they're scared of Trump, they're in cahoots with Trump, whether they just love the clickbait. But this is on. It's happening. And people like Lev and people like Zev and conversations like this have to be shared. We have to grow this community. This is, as you pointed out in one of your posts today, or one of your Substack lives today, Lev, this is the resistance. Is not just the information, but it's being able to sort through the information, because so many people don't look past a headline. They don't look past a tweet. They don't look past a note. All they do is go, oh, that's great. Because what Trump is really good at, and his team's really good at, like they did in Washington, like they're doing with Russia, is attaching some kind of hopeful end to something that most of us can identify with, right? Peace between
and the headline.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's been amazing to be able to kind of sort through this kind of shit with you guys. And the last question I have for you is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how box drunk wine was Jeanine Pirro in that presser today?
I was thinking the same thing. I don't think she was that drunk. I think she was like at 5. I think her and Hexeth both go to drink afterwards. They have the press it, then they drink.
You guys want me to give you a little quick, before we go, little story time with Love with Jeanine Pirro?
Yeah. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Of course I do.
All right, so here we go. I'll actually I'll post some of these pictures or videos also on Substack when I have some time, because this is not extremely important, but it's a little funny. So 2018, when DeSantis was running for governor of Florida, and for those of you that know, I introduced him to Trump. We were part of it, made that whole thing happen. So me and Don Jr. were holding an event for DeSantis in Florida. And simultaneously, Judge Jeanine just wrote her book that came out that day. So she came to the event there, and she was promoting her book while, and when I say she had a little too many, that would be on the easy side. But there's another person that had a little too many that day, was my partner Igor. my partner Igor also had a little too many. And all of a sudden, I'm taking a look in the corner and I see Igor has his hand around Judge Janine and they're very lovey dovey. Like, you know, I was like, next thing I know, I get a tap on my shoulder from Judge Janine's assistant. And
Yeah.
she like comes up to me and she's like, listen, can I have your credit card?
Yeah.
And my credit card for what? She goes, your partner said you're going to buy 10,000 books. I said, I'm going to buy 10,000 books. I said,
I
are
only
you
need
crazy?
one. I only
I said, are
need
you
one.
crazy? Are you crazy? Make a long story short, they were both so drunk. I don't know what Judge Janine did or said to Igor, but we ended up buying 100 books.
Oh, it's good negotiation. Down from 10,000.
Okay, last
We ended up buying
the
I don't
very
know.
last question I'll ask is if you know Don Jr. on a scale of 1 to 10, how poked is he all the time?
You know, I hate to say I have to be careful the way I say things because of my platform. You know, not to be able to let them give him a chance to distract. I have not personally seen him do it, but with that said, okay, there have been lots of people in even in the super PAC and the events that when we had events that you know the conversation about watching were two people. That was Don Jr., but you couldn't get him not to go because he was, you know, president's son. So you had to be careful, watch him. But there was also another Matt Gates, and Matt Gates was not allowed into. So, so, so I'll let you guys read into, you know, what and you know how you know what they are. But those were the two
Well,
people that were like, you know, on the watch list of all the supervisory, you know, the events and
yeah,
parties.
keep an eye out. Make sure this guy doesn't get out of hand.
Yeah,
Also,
it's a good one.
the biggest pupils of anybody in Trump's orbit. Lev, please, ladies and gentlemen, go and subscribe to Lev. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is doing the work that he is doing, not just, like, as I said, connecting dots, but truly bringing you behind the scenes, uncovering the truth, getting behind, you know, even the veiled, you know, bullshit in the White House, sucking that information out so that you can be informed and you can be affirmed. You're not crazy. What you're seeing is what's happening here. And subscribing to people like Lev, subscribing to people like Zev, narrative.org, at Lev Parnas. That's where you can find both of these fine gentlemen. Not only informs you, but it gives you so much context for you to be able to say, hey, listen, because it's happening right now. Am I going crazy or is this bad? This is very bad. What we're seeing is very bad, and you need Sherpas to help you understand what very bad is in 2025. Paid subscribers, free subscribers, the paid subscribers keep everybody alive, keep everybody doing this. It doesn't matter how much you subscribe. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you share this. What matters is that you subscribe to this. What matters is that you stay together and we build this community and we build the resistance. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Lev Parnas and Zev. Lev, go ahead and take us out. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, and most importantly, is to share the message. That's for free. Each and every one of you could take this message and make sure you spread it far and wide so other people could hear to get the truth, because that's the most important thing that we're trying to achieve on this platform is get the truth out, get the media, and which we speak truth to power. And like Dean said, subscribing is for free because that builds awareness, builds a community, gives you guys the access to the information to be able to pass it. For those of you that go the extra mile to become paid subscribers, it really helps fight the mission because information is not for free. Doing this is not, you know, we all live lives, we all have families, and those of us that devote our time to fight them, you know, we don't have the corporate media. We don't have the Elon Musk billionaires that are sitting there writing the checks. We are doing it. This is why it's called independent journalism, like Zev is doing. He doesn't work for CBS and get a big check. He's sitting it, doing it every day from his house, or Dean. Things like me, I'm not even a journalist. I'm a truth teller. You know, I'm risking my life and my freedom, giving you information that I'm hearing from inside, so guys like Zev and others could report it to be able to spread the message out there. But for you paid subscribers that keep it going, I just wanted to make this quick announcement, if you guys let me, is tomorrow something extremely special. I kept thinking a way that I could give back to the paid subscriber community that keeps this thing afloat. And what we're doing tomorrow is at 2:00 p.m. Eastern. First time, never before. Me and my son, Aaron Parnas, are going to do a live Substack for paid subscribers. It's our way of giving back a little bit to the community. We've never done any interview on any uh, media, any social platform. This is the first time ever the two of us are going to be live together, and it's going to be on Substack. And it's our way to give back to all of you that help support this mission to be able to, so we could speak truth to power. And for those that can't become paid subscribers, are still able to get this information and spread it so we could save our democracy. So for all of you that are not paid subscribers yet and can be, make sure you subscribe today, because tomorrow is going to be something historical, and I'd like for you all to join it and be a part of it with us.
That's a great one. I've restacked your announcement earlier on. That's a terrific thing. It's great that Aaron and you are doing so well on Substack, and to have you combine forces for paid subscribers like this is great. I'll be there. I'll watch.
Yeah.
And Dean Blundell, that Substack.com, of course, is where everyone else should also subscribe.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying. Nobody brings it like Dean.
Nobody. Dean's one very special guy, most talented guy in Canada and America.
We'll still have fun if we do this, gentlemen. You know that. I can't just rip through all the serious shit. I have to ask about Janine Pirro's box of wine, drunk scale, and Don Jr. for time to time. I apologize. When I first met Lev, and I'll let everybody go after this, I'm like, hey, what did Giuliani smell like?
Disgusting. The thought of that.
But guys, go subscribe.
And I still never forget between this cigars and the booze. I don't even want to give you my.
Yeah,
you know, I went camping once for 3 days and didn't shower, and when I came back, I probably smelled a lot like him, but in the hot summer Tucson heat, after having 16 bourbons and a glass of 16 bourbons and a cigar. So I can smell him from here because you described it so well in our first
Lev Parnas. Triggering.
It bothers me. Lev Parnas at Lev Parnas on Substack. Subscribe. Follow. I'll be watching you and Aaron tomorrow. And I can't wait to catch up with you again this week. We're around, and Zev and I will be back with the FiveStack tomorrow, 3:00, if I'm not mistaken, right? Big
Correct. Right after Aaron and Lev do their thing. So we'll check you out then.
Perfect. All right, guys.
Have a good one. Great seeing you guys. Bye.
Bye. There you go. Lev Parnas, Zev, Selev, two of my favorite people. Oh, sorry, I'm a little off to the side here. We got about 1,500 of you sitting around watching this, kind of suffering through, whether you're in the United States or Canada. It affects everybody. This is a North American issue. This is a global issue. Thank you very much for joining us today. We appreciate this. You know, Substack is my new home. It's where I exclusively do most of my podcasts. Sometimes I make a little noise on Twitter, but that's not a community. That's just a bot-run agency full of mouth breathers and maggots. So, having said that, the fact that you're here, the fact that you subscribe, the fact that you join us, the fact that you feel affirmed by us, and the fact that you give us your time, and I say this a lot, is one of the most humbling parts of being able to communicate with you on a daily basis. Free or paid, doesn't matter to us. But what I thought I would do is give everybody a nice little thank you gift for making this community and this Substack overwhelmingly, a place where I spend all of my time. And your support has not only given us the ability to be able to continue to do this on a daily basis, keep you informed and help you read through the tea leaves. Your support has made me very, very grateful. So paid or free doesn't matter, but the gift that I'm giving everybody and to say thank you is 50% off annual subscriptions for life right now. You can go to my Substack and you can get one of those annual subscriptions, never pay more than 50%. And you get full access to not only the chats, but some of the paid sub exclusives like the Q&As. We're going to start doing those again. And stuff like Lev's interview with his son, Aaron, which you have to watch more. Aaron Parnas is a superstar on this platform, as is Lev, and I can't believe they haven't done this before. But you're going to probably hear some things tomorrow that are going to be incredible, where you talk about a father and a son that have been on this incredible journey, and they're both now on the same team, on the same side, blowing whistles, helping you understand what's truly important to Americans and to North Americans and to stand up for democracy. So thank you again. Thank you to my friends for joining me. You are my friends. Lev and Zeb are my friends. We're standing up for democracy, and we're trying to make sure that you don't feel alone in this process. From Canada to America and around the world, my name is Dean. Have a great day. DeanBlundell.substack.live. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 o'clock on the Substack. Bye, everybody. Thank you.